Who doesn't want to get around the world faster? Then why are we okay that our flight from New York to San Francisco has remained 6 hours for the past 50 years? And do we really imagine that 50 years into the future, it will remain 6 hours? No. It's going to get faster, and we believe supersonic transport is the solution. My name is NORRIS T, and today I want to share with you why our customers care about this, why flying supersonically over land gives us a much bigger reach in the market, why our competitors are not doing this and why we are prepared to do it, and our 10-year strategy to accomplish this vision. First off, our airline customers crave differentiation. And we're going to provide them a new dimension to differentiate on, which is speed. And time-sensitive, high-value travelers want better work-life balance. They just want to get into their meeting or take that pitch and then fly back home so they can spend time with their loved ones or their family. And so with faster travel, they get that balance. So with those customers in mind, we designed this aircraft concept. It flies Mach 1.8, roughly 2.5 times faster than current aircraft today, can carry 45 to 60 passengers in a premium economy class seating, and fly 4,500 nautical miles, which is SFO to Tokyo in 6 hours. Now the special thing about this aircraft is we have an elongated aircraft body, which mutes the aircraft sonic boom, allowing supersonic overland flight the first time. You might be wondering, why is this important? Because when you look at overwater premium travel by revenue, it's only $116 billion by 2030. But if you add the overland component, then you double the market size to $278 billion. And that's when you look at just Europe to Asia and within Asia. When you think about us as an aircraft manufacturer, so our competitors are saying that you can sell roughly 1,000 aircraft that just does overwater flight. Now, if you add that overland component, you can roughly grow that by 50%, which gives us 1,800 aircraft. And in our industry, the more aircraft you can sell, the more economically viable it can be for the operators. Now, you might be wondering why our competitors are not doing this. And you might know a few of them, and they started out before us. And so because we're a later entrant, we have the latest access to technology. One big competitor is Boom, which started in 2015. And that was before NASA announced that they wanted to build a low-boom supersonic flight demonstrator. So given the knowledge that they had at that time, they didn't know that there was going to be a pathway for NASA and the FAA to work together and lift the supersonic overland flight ban. Now there's also Aerion, which is a supersonic business jet company, which we don't really compete on because we sell to airlines. Now Boeing is partnered with Aerion, and then Airbus is focused on the NMA, or new middle-of-the-market aircraft, with their A321XLR. Now, we have the right team to get this company started. This has been a passion of mine for the past 10 years, where I focus my academic and industry experience figuring out ways to move people around the world faster. And my last job was at Lockheed, working on that low-boom supersonic flight demonstrator. Tim McDonald is my CTO, and he's graduating from Stanford with a PhD in aircraft conceptual design. And together, and Ujjwal, we're working on developing this aircraft together. But we know we also need formal advisors to help us through this process. And so we have experts in both the engineering world and the airline industry to get this company going. Now, as for our company, in the next 10 years, we broke it up into 4 distinct phases. And currently, we're in the concept phase, where we want to finish our conceptual aircraft design and then get it reviewed by third-party experts from the engineering world and the airline world to prove that we are not only economically viable, but technically feasible. And then once we do that, then we'll patent our design and form a defensive moat. And so for now, we're looking at raising a $1.2 million seed round to carry the team for a year and have 6 people which are both engineers and business people. Now, if you like dreaming big, we look forward to working with you and ushering in a new era of supersonic commercial aviation. Thank you.
Grab a seat in the Dragon's Den. So you were looking for $1.5 million, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that seems like enough to buy one of the tires on that. You need a lot more. What kind of capital do you really need to make this a vision happen?
So we kind of brushed that over. If you go back 2 slides, basically we have like a $1 to $2 billion for the total pre-production phase. So that basically brings it all the way to flight test, finish the flight test program, and certification. And then there's production, which we plan to get firm order deposits from airlines, and then we'll help use that to build the aircraft. And then we don't look at it only as venture dollars, we also look at it as government funding or partnerships to help offset that.
I was going to ask something like that. I was curious about, I don't know if you touched on fuel efficiencies or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
You covered noise, which is great.
Yeah, so for fuel efficiency, what we want to do is basically baseline off business and first class fuel consumption. So what we do in our route profitability analysis is we'll look at the square footage of each of the cabin classes and allocate fuel and costs generally to those cabin classes. And so that's our benchmark. There's also biofuels too, but it depends on how much you believe biofuels are actually green.
I mean, this concept is hugely exciting, right, as a frequent traveler, so I love the idea. From an airline's perspective, what is the cost profile of an airplane like this, both from an upfront capital perspective and then kind of along the same lines from an operating cost perspective?
Yeah, so we look at the unit economics being CASM, or cost per available seat mile, as a metric. And so what we're doing is baselining our CASM off of business and first class. And then I've been in talks with some mentors about fully allocated costs, which is ownership costs plus operating expenses. And it depends on how people like bookmark or bookkeep those things. It's kind of an accounting thing. But we assess for both the financing costs from a leasing perspective and also operating.
So when you do that,
yeah.
Is this airplane going to cost a lot more? Is it, I mean, you're benchmarking to get to the same CASM, but is that really realistic?
So far, we're saying yes. Yeah.
I'm just curious, how many routes would you anticipate this is actually operating on? How many planes would you sell, and how does that overlap with available like landing slots, et cetera?
Yeah. So landing slots is a more difficult question, but I can answer the first questions about like the market size from a routes and aircraft sales perspective. We recently got access to OIG through our friends at Plug and Play, which has been helpful. And so we looked into the top revenue routes, and there's like a couple hundred or maybe over 100 that have $200 million in revenue. But we're going through this analysis right now. And hopefully it's like hundreds. But let me give you an example. The first 112 that we looked at, 76 of them were overland routes, and then like 36 were overwater.
If we were having this conversation 5 years from now, what would be a tectonic shift that would enable you to accelerate your progress? And then what would be a monkey wrench that causes you to kind of, shut down your progress?
I think finding an engine is probably, it can go both ways. Yeah, and the good thing about being kind of a later entrant is all of these companies are already doing engines, and from an engine OEM perspective, they just want to sell more engines, right? So we can just buy it and exactly.
Great, thank you very much, Norris.